turn the recording on.
You don't listen to me. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm really pleased to welcome you here to TIGS. My name is Judy Neely. I'm the acting headmaster here at our school. It's a great privilege for me to work here. It's a wonderful place to be. So if some of you are visitors to our school, that's wonderful. Welcome. I hope you enjoy your first visit on campus. Some of you are staff and parents, which is wonderful. Lovely to see you. Some alumni, which is fantastic. Lovely to see you guys back on campus with us today. My job is pretty brief, which is probably a relief to all of you. I won't talk for very long at all. And it's just to say welcome to Susan, thank you for being here, and also to introduce Sandra Newhouse, who's the chairperson of our foundation. So Sandra's going to give her welcome and then we'll get started. So please welcome Sandra Newhouse.
Thank you for the introduction, Judy. Good evening. It's lovely to see a mixture of people here tonight. We have parents and past parents, hopefully some future parents, alumni, members of school council, members of PNF, staff and visitors to our school. Welcome all of you. As Judy said, my name is Sandra and I'm happy that you're all here joining us. Tonight's event, Leveraging LinkedIn, is brought to you by TIGS Foundation. Our board has traditionally performed two key functions: to raise funds for capital projects and development for the school community, and to provide raised funds for humanitarian scholarships. As a revised board for 2018, we have added a third key function, a focus on connecting with our school community and bringing a refreshed approach on community engagement. This is our first example of just that, an evening where we take the opportunity to connect with you better and share with you something of benefit for your life, your business and your career. It's our way of showing our gratitude for your past support and any future support towards Foundation's work. And it also says, let's build on a greater future together with real connections and real conversations. I would like to introduce my board members, of whom most were able to make it tonight. Please make yourself familiar with them, as they give so much of their time outside of their work and their busy family lives in a voluntary capacity to make a difference. So if I can just introduce Scott Bywater, our Vice Chair, just put your hand up. Joanne Dancourt, our Treasurer. Helen Bywater, Secretary. James Cooper, Board Member and Alumni 2017. Catherine Ginty, Board Member and Alumni 2000, and Usha Fernandez. I'm just going to speak about Usha for a moment. Usha is a long-term board member and who, even 7 years after her children have graduated from TIGS, continues her voluntary work to enable other children to have a wonderful experience at TIGS. Usha plays an important role to Foundation and the school, as along with her husband, Dr. Cedric Fernandez, Dr. Sharad Tamani and Dr. Lata Tamani, they are the organisers of the major biannual fundraising event for Foundation, being the Taj Mahal Ball. The Taj Mahal Ball has now raised almost $320,000. These funds have supported 3 worthy causes that partner with TIGS in assisting our local community. The beneficiaries of the Taj Mahal event are the Disability Trust, the Sony Foundation Camp, which allows students with disabilities from around the region to be cared for by our Year 11 cohort during a weekend of fun and interaction. Every year, not only have the Disability Trust students returned smiling and with new friendships, but also our students have returned with a new perspective on the value of diversity. And thirdly, the Taj Mahal funds also go towards the TIGS Humanitarian Scholarship, referred to as the Reverend Richard Bosenkamp Scholarship, which provides a life-changing opportunity for a local child to experience the educational benefits and opportunities of a TIGS education. In my 7 years on the board, I have been able to see firsthand the life-changing pathway that a child in these circumstances has been able to benefit from. All of the above have made real differences to real people. So thank you, Usha and Dr. Fernandez and Drs. Tamani. And please, all of you, mark Saturday the 16th of March next year in your diary to join with us and a crowd of almost 500 local and Sydney-based guests at the Wollongong University's Hall for a night of Indian glamour, food, entertainment and dancing. I'd like to now call up Scott Bywater, Vice Chair, to share a foundation and school business community initiative and also introduce tonight's guest speaker, Sue Elson. Please enjoy Leveraging LinkedIn, everybody.
Welcome everyone. Before I introduce the remarkable Sue Elson, and believe me, we're in for a real treat tonight, I want to share some exciting news for business owners who are either parents, past parents, or alumni and interested in gaining further exposure via the TIGS community. So the TIGS Foundation are inviting you to list your organisation on the Community Business Directory, where we're waiving the fee, which is normally $300 for 1 year starting January 2019. So this directory is going to provide an opportunity to strengthen and tighten the bonds between the school, parents, and the businesses contained within the school community, and be promoted not only via the website, but also within the TIGS newsletter throughout the year. If you're interested, please fill out one of the forms provided and hand it in at the welcome desk? So at the welcome desk before you leave tonight. Okay, let's move on to the main event, what we're all here for, and show you how to leverage LinkedIn. Your speaker tonight is Sue Elson. Now, Sue regularly presents at schools and organisations, including Knox Grammar, the Victorian Government Small Business Festival, and many others. And thanks to an initiative from our forward-thinking acting headmaster, Judy Neely, Sue has just hosted an event today with Year 12 students, helping them enhance their profiles on LinkedIn and also developing a game plan in preparation for their professional careers. Now, they've also had the opportunity to get professional photoshops, so all the Year 12 students have had a very productive day, as James will attest to, who was here with them earlier. So now she's here to help us navigate LinkedIn, and we're very fortunate to have her with us. Now, Sue, just to give you a bit of background, she was one of the first 80,000 people in the world to join the LinkedIn platform, and she's been consulting on the topic since 2008. So 10 years, which is like a century in the digital world. So, and she launched her first 3 80,000 word books in 2016. So now, as an independent LinkedIn specialist and career development practitioner, Sue's provided consulting and training on the topics of LinkedIn, social media, and marketing to individual clients and organisations worldwide. She's also provided a variety of LinkedIn and career advice services for both local and international companies, teaches at 2 educational facilities, as well as business consulting services to private clients internationally. That's it from me. Please welcome Sue Elson.
Thank you, Scott. I hope I live up to all of that. Thank you, Judy. Thank you, Sarah. And thank you, Scott McBain, who's done a lot of the logistics of making sure that I get here as well. It's indeed a great pleasure for me to present to people. I love it when people are interested in the topic of LinkedIn. I'm not paid by LinkedIn, by the way, but I probably should be by now since I promote it so much. But I am completely independent of LinkedIn and I can cope with interruptions. So if you have a question that you're burning to ask me at any point, please feel free to interrupt. I am audio recording, I am video recording, and I'm of the old-fashioned variety. I like this thing called paper, and I spoke to an archivist once, and she tells me that it lasts 500 years. So my fame is going to last a very long time if, somebody buries this in their garage somewhere. But the idea behind doing this is I really hate it when you go to a presentation and it's like death by PowerPoint, another screen and flick back and you're going backwards and forwards and you can't remember anything. So the idea is that these notes, which you can receive electronically, I believe, by registering from tonight, if you forget something or you're not sure where it is, you can just click the link and it will take you straight to that particular screen. So I like it to be as interactive as possible and as relevant as possible, because I know what I know, but you know, I'd much prefer to be of value to you. And yes, it's a lot easier if we can use things that are more relevant. I like to tailor all of my presentations to the particular audience. I'm really thrilled to hear about your community business directory. I do a lot of hyperlocal marketing, which is what my third book was about, and getting connected in your local community is really valuable. You could actually, are you going to provide a page for each business on the community business directory on the website?
A listing.
A listing, okay. So what
connects to their website.
to their website. Okay, so if you've got a profile page on that community business directory, you can actually link to that on your LinkedIn profile as well. So you can also have a Google Plus profile. Now, I know that Google Plus is not very popular. I describe it as Google's version of Facebook, created by people who live in a very dark room and don't get out much, because it's terrible. But the benefit of having a Google Plus profile is for your name, you can list where you are on the internet. And so if somebody Googles you, all of these links will come up before that terrible article about you running naked down, you know, some street in Wollongong at some point, you know. So it's a good risk mitigation strategy too. But yeah, so definitely consider putting your community business directory listing on your website, on your LinkedIn profile, on your Google Plus account. That will also help you. Because what Google's #1 criteria for search is location. If I'm looking for a hairdresser and I'm standing here, it's not going to recommend a hairdresser in Sydney. It's going to recommend a hairdresser in Wollongong. So the more directory listings and location-based information you have online, the better it is for you. So anyway, the notes. I'll go through these. I'm obviously not here for 3 hours, so I'm not going to go into detail with everything, but you can click on these links and that will go to a lot more things. And one of the things that I found really interesting when dealing with mixed audiences is there's a lot of people in the room who say, I don't really know why I'm here and I don't really know what I want to do with my life. So the first article is about how to choose your next job or career. So if you're a little bit confused about that at the moment, that particular exercise was created because I spent 3 years reading books about do what you love, your money will follow, what colour's your parachute, and none of them worked for me. So I came up with this mind map exercise, and a lot of people, because I live at what I call a values-driven life. I'm not driven by purpose. I see that as a destination. I see values as something that can make my choices for me. So that's the way I like to live. The second link is to primary and secondary keywords. So if any of you have any presence online, whether that be LinkedIn, whether it be your website, whether it be Facebook even, the words you have on that content will determine what comes to you. So unlike the old sales copy where they used to tell you, don't tell people selling, you know, let them tell you. Nowadays, because we're so data driven, I use the expression, if you don't tell, you can't sell. So I was talking before about, you were saying about an excavation business, so then there's all these other components that come with that. So if you don't mention that you also do asbestos removal and construction and so on, nobody knows that you're doing those things. So you've actually got to tell people that in your content. Some of you may also be interested, particularly Scott, seeing as he can write, in producing content online, and you can search engine optimize your content online, and I'll give you an example of that later. And then if you want to be in the social media channel and sharing content regularly, you might want to put a post in your newsfeed, and you can make that go viral with the tips that I've suggested there as well. And some of you may have never even had a website but are thinking about it. And I also teach at the Centre for Adult Education about how to create a simple WordPress website. And I'm always, you know, terribly frustrated by the horror stories I hear from people who've had bad experiences with website designers. So for that reason, sorry, it's going to pop up messages. It's coming to US time, so I'm in this group, and this is a crazy bunch of people who are always messaging. There's a couple of articles there just on the website, so just to give you a little bit of a gist of what to look out for there. The next few links are about the benefits of LinkedIn, And I've heard lots of stories about what LinkedIn is. Oh, it's just a resume, it's Facebook for business, it's, you know, a time waster, whatever. But I see a lot of other benefits. And one of the presentations I did fairly recently was at the Monash Business School alumni, and most of those people had graduated within the last 3 to 5 years. And I asked the audience, how many of you have had an opportunity via LinkedIn? And nearly every single one of those people in that room put their hand up. So that's a really good indication that A, they've got LinkedIn profiles, and B, those profiles are actually working for them. So yeah, and I also work with entrepreneurs and other people just looking for specific career technical specialties. The second link is to the business case for LinkedIn. So some of you will have been given the mission to come here and find out, is it really worth it or not? And you've got to convince people, you know, back in the office that it is worthwhile. So the second one is the actual business case for LinkedIn. There's no point just doing something because everybody's doing it. I had one person ask me to give him some Facebook training, and we spent 3 hours together because somebody he knew who was in business had decided to go on a Facebook campaign. So he decided he had to learn how to do Facebook, and he would, you know, make all this money. And I said, well, how have you been getting all your clients up until now? Oh, yes, by referrals. I'm involved in the local football club. He was a mortgage broker. And he said, but I really want to do the Facebook advertising. But anyway, I kept saying, look, you know, if you're getting leads and that's the best way to do it, I'm not convinced that this is, like, I mean, if you're scrolling through Facebook, do you want a mortgage? I mean, this is not what I think people want, but anyway. So look, we went through 3 hours of training, and then at the end of it, he finally told me, yeah, this guy got a whole bunch of leads and they were all a waste of time. And I thought, well, why on earth are we doing Facebook training? You know, like, this is just a crazy idea. You know, have you not missed the whole point of all of this? So really and truly, if you think about business, an awful lot of it is done via referral. Up to 85% of business is still done by referral. And even if your best friend says, come to the Taj Mahal party, what's the first thing I'm going to do before I go there? Sorry? I didn't quite hear the answer. You're going to Google it. You know, you're going to see, are there photos about this? You know, does it really exist? You know, has this been done once or 5 years, whatever? And if I Google it and something amazing comes up, I'll book. But if nothing comes up, I'm not going there. So if you think about yourself being your business or your career, and somebody Googles you, you want to come up, and LinkedIn can do that. Also, I created my own SueElson.com website in 2012. It took me 6 months to get an exact match domain name above my LinkedIn profile. So that again tells you that LinkedIn ranks really well in Google. And the third example is the client I have on Monday in North Sydney Googled LinkedIn specialist in Sydney, and I came up in search results. So that's what I want, you know, I want those types of leads, and so my LinkedIn presence gives me access to those opportunities. It's only me in my business, so I don't have time to prospect, to go through a funnel, to answer 600 emails, you know, talk for 25 minutes on the phone. I don't have time for that. So Scott would be aware of this as well, is my content filters out the tire kickers. So when you look at my profile, if you're a tire kicker, you're going to say, oh my goodness, I can't cope with all that. And you'll just flick to the next person. I'll say, yes, I've never wanted to work with you anyway. So, and it's not that I don't want to work with that person, but they're not the right fit for me. Because there's 3 types of clients. The first type of client is no matter how fantastic you are, they're never going to pay for what you offer. And we all know those people. But we can't be rude to those people because they might not buy from us, but they might refer us to somebody else. So I'm always nice to all people. The second type of person is the one I like to work with, which is the one that wants help. So they're prepared to take some ownership and I can help them do it. And the third type of person says, Sue, just log in, do what you will. Well, I can't do that for a LinkedIn profile because it's their story. So I have to work with the person. So that person, I don't want to work with them either. So when they read my content, they're going to realise that, and I've filtered, you know, the ideal client out for me. Same thing applies if you're looking for a job. You know, if I said to you, this is exactly the job you want, but I'm going to give you $45,000 for it, you'll say, thanks, but maybe not. You know, so again, you can make these things happen by changing your content online.
So on the bottom of page 3, I say there's a few other things. You can Google your name, it's free. If your target audience is there, you can keep in touch. You can add a database, you can build your network internationally. Would anybody else like to share something that's happened via LinkedIn with the rest of the group that has been a benefit? It's always interesting hearing from other people, not just me. Or you're too shy. It's all right. Yes, Scott?
I've got a few clients out of it over the last few months.
Few clients, and where have they come from?
Well, they've come from LinkedIn.
Yes,
So,
but locally, internationally?
no, nationally.
Nationally.
Throughout Australia. So,
And what were they looking for?
they were looking for really marketing help,
Right.
more or less. So, and one of them was an old client from like 10 years ago. Who sort
Yes.
of I was connected with and came out of the woodwork. He's actually in Israel, so.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So you've got an international business lead. And I had a client who first met me 8 years ago. And because I connected with him on LinkedIn 8 years ago, and of course I still keep popping up in his news feed because, you know, we're connected. And then he's an engineer and he had to go for a job interview and he was really nervous, like he's an extreme introvert. And so of course he found me and booked an appointment, 8 years from when he first met me to when the deal was done. But if I wasn't connected to him on LinkedIn, he probably would have forgotten me a long, long time ago. So really worth building your network. There's no such thing as job or business security, but what we do need to have to be successful in life is a network. All right, so for those of you who don't know, LinkedIn was established in 2002, launched in 2003, and has over 600 million members in over 200 countries and over 9 million in Australia. 4.5 million people in Australia are active monthly users. There's another LinkedIn trainer based in Sydney, and she posted on LinkedIn recently that when she's on the train in Sydney, she looks at what people are doing on their phone, and she said it's either Facebook, YouTube, or LinkedIn are the 3 things that people are looking at the moment. That number of active monthly users is also increasing. So it was only 4 million just 6 months ago. So from 4 to 4.5 million in 6 months gives me the clue that, things are definitely improving. Compared to Facebook though, last year around this time it was 17 million active monthly users, and it's now dropped to 15 million active monthly users. So Facebook's gone a little bit out of favour at the same time. And then there's other platforms that do different ones. And if you want to check out those active monthly users, you can follow that link. LinkedIn's mission is to connect the world's professionals and make them more productive and successful. And it's publicly held and it makes its money from multiple different sources. So not just memberships, but the LinkedIn Recruiter, which costs a recruitment company over 10 grand a year to be able to use it. Sales Navigator programs if you're in business and you want to generate a lot more leads. If you advertise jobs, sponsored ads, there's all sorts of different ways they're making money out of LinkedIn, which, as we all know in business, multiple streams of revenue makes it much more stable. And one of the things that happened is in 2016, apart from acquiring all these other things that they've acquired over time, is they were acquired by Microsoft. So I imagine a lot more integrations with Microsoft products in the future. One in particular that I'm interested in is the Microsoft Dynamics product, which will be a real competitor to Salesforce, because obviously people update their LinkedIn profile, but they don't update your personal database if you're in business. So I think that could be a real game changer in the future. If you want to know more about news on LinkedIn, you can check out that link, or about LinkedIn itself, or if you want to be kept up to date with the changes on LinkedIn, you can follow the blog. After having done so many presentations, I've also found that there's a lot of typical concerns that people have about LinkedIn. One of them is about privacy, and there's a lot of different settings that you can do to change how much information people see about you. And one of them, if you really were caught running naked down the main street, is you can turn off your visibility immediately. So if you go to your own profile, and you click up over here on Edit Public Profile and URL, there is no need to delete your account. As soon as you do this, you change this one to off, and you will literally come off the internet. There's no record of you being on there. So, if you were concerned, I've worked with some women who've been victims of domestic violence and had stalkers and so on and so forth, and they even have to have photos taken from a long distance so no photo recognition can occur. So, there's lots of people who have challenges with producing online content, and I don't want those people to miss out on opportunities, when there's these sorts of facilities available so they can still build a network and still do research and still do other things. A lot of people get invitation requests from people that they don't know, and so you've got to make some executive decisions on who you want to connect to. I've stopped connecting to web developers in India, you know, I don't need any more web development, let me tell you. But, you know, and anyone who's a nuisance, I delete them as well. So I have a no prisoners policy. I just can't stand spammers, and I report them all the time because they ruin the platform for all of us. So I have a zero tolerance on that. Some people say it takes too much time, and I say, well, do a cost-benefit analysis. If it's getting you the opportunities you want, then keep going. But as a general rule, I wouldn't want you to spend probably more than 20 minutes a week. So yeah, please don't see it as this vortex and then forget all the other things you should be doing for your career or your business. Too costly, I'm still using the free account. However, if I felt that seeing the last 90 days of people who've looked at my profile would be worthwhile, I would absolutely pay the $40 a month to be able to see that, because they're all warm leads. You know, if I approached all of them and said, by the way, do you want some help? I'd probably, you know, pick up quite a lot of business, but I don't need it, so I don't pay for it. But, you know, definitely you can have the premium, or you can just keep using the free one. A lot of people, or unless they go to Scott, get some writing help, are worried about how they write. So please don't be worried about that. A lot of the content that's read online is read on a mobile device, so it's scrolled. So you don't have to do long sentences. You can just say, Indian festival, you know, Bollywood dancing, you know, and say all these things. And people are going to be much more interested than that, than a 7-line paragraph that takes 4 scrolls on the phone to read. Scared of computers? Well, I hate to tell you, but they're here to stay. And you can't just be digitally literate, which means filling in boxes. That's what digital literacy means. What you need to be able to do is show a level of digital competency, which basically means you can add videos, you can do extra things. Now, I don't like videos either, so please, you know, I haven't got too many videos. I did boldly produce a Facebook video recently, and it was amazing. All these people said, oh, Sue, you're a natural, well done, you know. And so we don't realise that people actually like seeing us on camera. Don't ask me why, but apparently men like videos because they don't like reading. A clinical psychologist told me that. It's not my belief. But anyway, videos is here, so, you know, you don't even have to produce your own videos. You can borrow somebody else's video that you've watched and put that on your LinkedIn profile. But it shows that digital competency that you're up to date with the times. Business rules, you might be in an organisation that has social media guidelines, so make sure you follow those. We're going to try and develop some guidelines for staff and students at TIGS to update their LinkedIn profiles so that they're all consistent and help with achieving results, so they could be coming. And if you need help, well, ask a friend or an expert. So, to measure whether your profile is actually working for you, I'd like to do a bit of a demonstration and show you a few different things. And the first thing that I do when I'm working with a client is I record all these statistics because this is where they're at now and we want to see if it's going to improve, and so we need a starting point. And these are all live real-time statistics, so we can't reproduce them. I can't in a month's time say what were the numbers on the 14th of September, it's too late, you know, that number's long gone. So if you click on My Network, and on the top left-hand side, you'll see your number of connections. So the maximum number of connections you can have is 30,000. So obviously with people starting out on LinkedIn, I say get 60, the next level is 500, and then whatever else after that. Because once you get over 500, it just says more than 500. So most people wouldn't know that I had 14,815 connections. The next, it wasn't a question, it was just your phone. One way to embarrass yourself. Yeah. Okay. All right, so the next number is your number of followers. So you can see I've got 15,379 people who've decided that my content could be of interest. So if you want to be known as a thought leader on your particular topic, you would have more followers than you would have connections, because these people have said, you know, this is amazing content and we want to be kept up to date with it. So if you keep a record of these numbers, you can see, you know, whether people are actually engaging with it and enjoying it or not. The next one is your number of views per 90 days. So I've had 1,365 views in the last 90 days of my profile. Now, there was a guy in Adelaide and he used to get 3,000 views every month, 90 days, but no work. So it's not just about getting people there, it's about conversions and getting them to do what you want. So in theory, you could have 3 views and if you got your clients, that's enough. But obviously, the more views you're getting, the better chance you've got of getting those leads, whether it be, again, job or business. So I'm suggesting, as the handout says there, 100 or more views per 90 days. And this is my favourite activity on LinkedIn, is to click that number and do what I call reverse stalk and check out who's been looking at me. So we'll see if anyone in the room here has done that. Is Chris here tonight?
Yes.
Hi, Chris. And Wendy popped in earlier today, I saw. This guy, he came along to an event I ran in Kew in Melbourne recently, and he realised that if he wrote me a recommendation, every time I'm showcasing my LinkedIn profile, his name popped up. So he quickly wrote me a recommendation. And interestingly, I mentioned this because I was at Swinburne University, so now a student's done it, and so he's been popped off, and so he's probably thinking, why am I not getting so many views? You know, my recommendations disappeared off of the screen. So I get really excited when I see people who I've met at events looking at my profile. So please stalk me as often as you like. I get excited by it because I sort of think that people are thinking, right, well, how can I update my LinkedIn profile and what ideas can I pinch and borrow from here? If I had the free account, I'd see the last 90 days, the paid account, the last 90 days of people who've looked at my profile. The other figure that you can write down is how many search appearances you've had in the last 7 days. So I've appeared in 1,003 search results in the last 7 days. And if I click on that one, I can see the types of organisations that are looking for me. And this one I've written for, this one I'm a part of, this one I do ad hoc work. These guys have just produced an amazing report on the gig economy, and I'm writing my 4th book called Gigsters, so I'm really curious that they're checking me out. And I don't know anyone in particular from the Bendigo and Adelaide Bank, but yeah, so it gives me, again, a little bit more of an idea of what's happening with my profile. The other thing is, if you fill in enough boxes on your LinkedIn profile, your dashboard will say whether or not you are an all-star. And there's probably a number of people in the room here who are all-stars but not getting views on their profile. And that's because you haven't put enough keywords throughout your profile to come up in those search results. So all-star means fill in boxes, you know, and if it's not there, you've got to fill in more boxes in the dumb, stupid database. If you don't fill it in, it's not going to come up in search results. Further down, you'll also see those recommendations. So you'll see that Swinburne student. And, oh, Genevieve's put one on today. Oh my goodness, I've got another one. Yeah, they're flooding in. So, you know, it's really good to be strategic about who you recommend. But it's also important that the number of recommendations both given and received is reasonably similar. So I've got a bit of catching up to do, so I might have to find someone from TIGS that I can write a recommendation for so that my numbers are fairly similar. Because obviously if I kept receiving recommendations but not giving any, that doesn't look good for me either. So, you know, people interpret this information. But if those recommendations include the word LinkedIn, you know, nicely too, that's obviously going to help me. And just be aware though, that if you write a recommendation, that can be used in a court of law. So you actually want to make sure that what you're saying about that person is the truth. Alternatively, you can give them some votes for their skills. So you can see here my top 3 skills I've listed as LinkedIn, LinkedIn training and writing. Now, believe it or not, I've got 47 other skills and I had over 4,500 votes for all of my skills. And then there was an upgrade of the LinkedIn platform and I lost all of my votes. And so I wrote to LinkedIn, I said, what's happened to my votes? And they said, oh, that's a known issue. So I lost it. So we can't rely on these platforms to be our sole source of income. And you may have heard last year that there was a whole lot of businesses that just went completely bust when Facebook algorithm changed. and even when they paid for ads, it didn't make any difference. So you can't rely on any of these things, but for the sake of your profiles now, if you're building numbers, try and get your top 3 skills to be what you most want to be known for, and get people who also have that skill to vote for you, and try and get at least 20 votes for those top 3. And that will be a really good starting point for you. And 6 recommendations given and received. Okay, so the next thing I do when I'm working with a client, after we've got a little bit of data on the books, is I get a copy of their LinkedIn profile. So if I click on more here, I can save a profile to PDF. Now before I do that, I change the settings in Google Chrome. So I go to settings, and I go down to advanced settings. And I say, ask where to save each file before downloading. So I save it there, close that tab. And then I choose save to PDF. Now when it saves, I don't just call it profile, I put today's date back to front, and then I put dashes between the words, and then I put the word LinkedIn in so that I know it's my LinkedIn, and then profile, and save it wherever I want on my computer. I'm sure the library doesn't need a copy of my profile, so I won't save it here. But that way you know that on the 14th of September, that's what your profile looked like, and if you want to go back to whatever you wrote before, you've at least got a copy of it. And also, in the unlikely event that LinkedIn blows up or disappears, you know, you've at least got some record of what you've typed into the platform. Now, you can also do that to find experts worldwide, save a copy of their profile to PDF, print it up and borrow a few fantastic ideas. So it's not just to back up your own copy, it's to, you know, perhaps borrow some ideas from elsewhere. Now, the second one that most people get super excited about, particularly those in business, is downloading their data. Because one of the things that you saw before, I've got over 14,000 connections, but I don't remember the names, email addresses and details of all of those people. So what I can do is I can request a download of my data, and I can tick the works, and I can request it, pop my password in, and what will happen is I'll get an email with a link on it, and then I click on that link and download my files. And one of those files will have the first name, last name, email address, current job, current company, and date I connected with all of those 14,000 people. So if I'm a really naughty girl and LinkedIn says slap and closes my account, I can still in theory contact those 14,000 people that I've built a relationship with over time. So again, really good idea for you to periodically do that. Please do not upload that into MailChimp and start emailing everybody your fantastic newsletter, because that's called spamming, and you know, definitely not worth doing. There was a guy who was at the council run workshop I ran this week who said, oh, I could run a Facebook campaign on that and put all those, and I thought, well, it's your choice, but it's bordering on spamming as well. So, you know, be prudent about how you use that, but the main thing I'm trying to encourage you to think about it is a backup exercise, because you don't want to lose access to your network. Now, the next thing I'd like to go through is some of the settings that are really important for you to think about. And if somebody's brave enough to, you know, tell me their profile, and I can assess it in front of the whole group and give you some free advice, I'm happy to do that later as well. But from here, you can see that the URL for my LinkedIn profile is just my name, you know, /Sue Elson. That's like having the .com of LinkedIn URLs. But if I have that as my name, it search engine optimizes my LinkedIn profile. But if I don't change my URL, it's just the standard one that LinkedIn gave me when I created my account, it does not search engine optimize my name in Google. So to change it, if you haven't already done it, is over here, edit public profile and URL, and you just click the pen here, and if it's available, you type your name in and you'll get your URL. If it's not available, you can try putting a dash between your first and last name, and if that's not available, you can put your pre-nominals, doctor and your name, or your post-nominals and your qualifications, or you can add a number, but please not your date of birth. It could be the same as your Twitter handle, but you know, make sure it's got your name in it. And yeah, you can change it to your own URL. And further down here, you can also make sure that your photo is visible to the public and all these other things are turned on as well, so that people can find your information. The next thing that's really important is your photograph. And believe it or not, 70% of the population is a visual learner, and up to 60% of the time they spend looking at a LinkedIn profile will be spent looking at the photograph. Now, this photograph took a week of beauty preparation, one appointment at the hairdresser that didn't go well, and 70 shots with a professional photographer. So I'm going to make it last for 3 years, but after that, I'm giving it away. Because I don't really think it looks really like me. But anyway, I went to all that trouble, so that's why I'm using it, and it's on my books. But the eyes should be looking at the camera as a typical shot, and you should be smiling with your teeth showing. I also encourage you to wear a high neck top so it frames your face, so that people look at your eyes and not your neck or your chest. And I say that because I had this lovely Irishman, and he had a nice open neck shirt and all of his hair's sticking out of the top, so I had to encourage him to Photoshop those out. I do like a hairy chest, but it didn't look right on LinkedIn. And also, obviously, for women, if you have a nice V-neck, you can be quite sure people will be looking at your neck and not your eyes. So the eyes is what we do business with. So please wear high neck clothing so that the face is the focus, not your body. If you wear darker colour clothing, then obviously you can have a lighter background. If you wear light colour clothing, you're going to have a darker background. And yeah, but your photo is important. You can also see I've got a background image, and I've put my books to the right of that background image, and I've got lots of white space around my photograph so that the eye is drawn to the face rather than the picture of my books. If you have a really fancy picture in there, people are going to spend all their time looking at your picture instead of at your face. And of course, we're doing, you know, interactions with people. So you want your face to sort of be the priority. And the next most important thing is your headline. And this is probably one of the most important fields to have on your LinkedIn profile, because this is where the search queries come from. So if you're not working at the moment and you said seeking opportunities, how many search queries do you think you are going to appear in? 0. So one person who came to a workshop was a project manager. She was a lovely woman from overseas, and she had no phone calls whatsoever. She changed her headline and said project manager, Agile, PMBOK, Prince 2. The very next day the phone started ringing, because that's what the recruiters and decision makers were looking for in their search query. So your keywords must be in this headline. And when I was Sue Everything, I didn't get any gigs, because, you know, oh, Sue can do that. Oh, I don't know whether she can do that. And she said she did something like, yeah, no. But if I say I'm an independent LinkedIn specialist, it's 3 words that describe me and where I believe I can add the most value. Now, it's not to say I'm not doing all the things I was doing before. I'm actually doing just as many, but I now have a label that people remember me by. So you need to come up with a label that works for you, that people can remember you by. So another one I created recently was for a management consultant, and he used to do the big corporate work, and now he's decided he just wants to work with well-run family businesses, and he runs executive leadership and all that sort of thing. So we ended up calling him a private business strategist. So private business, meaning he's only working with private businesses, and he does the strategy piece. So it's not just management consultant, which means nothing to the average person. If I'm in private business, I'm going to be much more interested in going to a private business strategist than just a run-of-the-mill management consultant. So you need to think of something that people can remember you by, and it can change, you know, like I've changed this multiple times. So don't be anxious if you wake up next week and say, oh, I'm changing, it's fine, you know, it's electronic, you can just change it. And then I've got my keywords after that. And then the final words is Gigster's book. So that's something that says, hang on a minute, I haven't seen that word before, and that's a bit unusual. And it makes me memorable, because I've been in recruitment and in HR, and after you've looked at a few LinkedIn profiles or resumes, they all look the same, because, you know, it's just words. So you want to be putting something in there that's memorable. So if we go back to the excavation, you know, we'll dig your hole for you or something. Oh, you know, where's that bloke that digs holes, you know? So just, you know, words that are known, but they're not familiar. You know, they're not the same old words that we hear everywhere, but, you know, they stand out. I had a 60-year-old client, and he was in reputation and brand management, and he was still playing cricket. So after all of his keywords, I put cricket player, because I thought, well, that's actually really interesting that he's still playing cricket. So, and we had enough words left over, so we did that. Now, if you update your headline on your laptop or desktop, you get about 120 characters. But if you update it on your phone, as I did, you get nearly 200 characters. So again, if you want more opportunities to come to you, tune in, think, what are people going to be searching for? And if it said excavation Wollongong, and you put Wollongong in there as well, you know, it'd be even more. Sorry, I keep picking on you, but you're the only person I've spoken to. I can use this as an example. Good promotion for you. Anyway, so yeah, so, you know, have a play around with that. Don't waste words. Put words in that, you know, and the beginning are more important than the end words. Also your summary. So I get a lot of my business by referral. So if somebody's seen me and then they Google me and then they see my LinkedIn profile, what do I want them to do? Well, I want them to call me, you know, or book me. So obviously I've got my email address and my phone number immediately there. On an Android device, you can click that and you'll be straight through. And also the link, even though it's plain text on this screen, again, on an Android device, that'll go straight to the services page of my website. So I'm trying to help people get to where they're trying to go. And then it was very easy for people to introduce me, because if they look a little bit further down my summary and click the show more, there's my digital competency. I put my videos up. But if you click show more, you just scroll down here and I've put my bio in there as well. And here I've put something a little bit more weird, is the fact that I do 5 rhythms dancing. So, you know, again, there's something that says, oh, who is this person? You know, she's not just a sterile, you know, robot on computers. She does something different as well. So, yeah, put a bit of your personality into this so that people get a sense of who you are as a person. Another person I talk about is the guy who said he was a bad golfer. And I felt really comfortable approaching that guy on LinkedIn, you know, because if he's admitted that he's a bad golfer, you know, he's obviously fairly friendly. So, you know, why not reach out? I spoke to him on behalf of a client of mine. So as you go down, you can fill in your current job title. So again, don't just say you're the managing director, put in your keywords again, and then they've changed this recently, so you can only see these top few lines. You used to be able to see all of this without pressing see more, so they've just changed this in the last 2 weeks, which is really irritating. So now my content looks terribly messy. But anyway, so I've had to put my selling information up top, and then I put my achievements, tasks, and my description. So I've had to change it around because, you know, the stupid platform keeps changing. But yeah, you need to work out what are you trying to achieve and helping people get to that particular message as quickly as possible. If you're wanting a leadership position, please focus on achievements, not just on tasks, because we're taught in recruitment past behaviour is a predictor of future performance. If you tell me I did this in that job, I've got a pretty good, you know, reason to believe you're about to do it again in this job. So talk to your achievements, but still put those keywords in there. And again, put some more videos and so on and so forth there as well. I'll give you a pause from that and show you a couple more settings. So in your account, you have the opportunity to add email addresses. So every single email address you are ever given, I encourage you to add to your LinkedIn account, because we found someone in the room tonight who's got 2 LinkedIn accounts because they created another profile with another email address. So if you add all your email addresses to the one account, you can't accidentally create a second LinkedIn account, because you can only have 1 email address on the account. But if you have accidentally got 2, what you can do is you can go down the bottom here and you can merge your 2 accounts, but you need the passwords for both, and then, you know, you can join the 2 together and you don't lose your connections. But I really encourage you to add your email address. And there was this one poor woman who came to me. She'd worked for the ANZ Bank for 25 years, and she thought, oh, I don't need that email address, and she took it off her account. So all those people who knew her via that ANZ email address disappeared because she took it off her account. So please, add your emails on, don't take them off. You can also add your phone number in here, and I like telling this gory story because you've got to think of these social media platforms as digital megalomaniacs, and they want more and more people on the platform. So if you give them the phone number, what they're constantly going to do is ask to go through your phone and invite your kids, your friends, your great Auntie Dora, whoever, to join LinkedIn. So if you add your phone number, be very wary when you're clicking around as to whether you say yes to going through your contacts or not. And one of my clients was a nice young woman in her 30s who'd been on lots of first dates. So she accidentally synced her phone number with her LinkedIn. So all those first dates got invited to connect with her on LinkedIn. So that's why I say, be warned if you're going to add it in. Just watch out for those messages where they try and sync the information. I've given you the link there to unsync if you wish. Also, if you're travelling and you don't want to use up all your download data, you can turn off autoplay videos. So you can change that one to no. And in the privacy settings, so if you're the top CEO of a large company, you don't want even your employees seeing your email address possibly. So you might say, look, I only want me to see my email address. But for me, I'm out there in the real world. I want everyone on LinkedIn to be able to reach me. So I've chosen that one. You can also decide who can see your connections. So if I chose only you, and you and I are both connected to George, I'll see that you're connected to George, but I won't see who else you're connected to. So if you're connected to a lot of your competitors, you might want to change that one to only you. And this one, I definitely want you to make no. Viewers of this profile also view. So believe it or not, the number one activity on LinkedIn is at 9 o'clock at night to flick through people's profiles. Why people do that, I don't know, but apparently it's very popular. But at the end of the profile, it says people who viewed Sue also viewed George, Mary, Bill, whatever. And you don't want that because they're all your competitors. So you leave this turned off unless it's very late at night. You turn it on and check out who your competitors are. And then you come back here and turn it off again. But for the most part, I'd suggest you leave that one turned to no. You can also change it so that if you're updating your profile, it doesn't tell everybody you're updating it. So you can turn off this sharing profile edits. And if you find that you're just getting way too many emails from LinkedIn, you can go into the communication settings and change your frequency, or you can set up a rule on your email inbox, and everything that comes from linkedin.com goes into that folder, and it stops, clogging up your inbox from all sorts of correspondence from LinkedIn. Any questions? Oh, I'm covering everything perfectly, obviously. I've had a lot of practice. All right, so the next section I'm going to show is the contact info. So this is where you can put your new community business directory listing. So you have the opportunity to add 3 websites to your LinkedIn profile. So please do not type this in. Open up another tab, get the website address, copy it from there, and then paste it into here in LinkedIn, and choose Other, and then you have 30 characters to describe that website. So this will mean that if somebody clicks on this contact information, they can see this. So you could perhaps link to your Facebook page, your professional membership page, your community business directory listing, your personal website, whatever you choose. If you want to add the Illawarra Grammar School, you can add that one in. You could add the alumni page, but you've got 3 links that you can add in there, and I really encourage you to do that as well. Again, you can put your phone number in here. You can put an address, you can put your Twitter accounts, instant messaging accounts, but again, please don't put your date of birth. I'm an ex-banker and I don't believe in giving out my date of birth unless it's a government agency or, because it's part of my identity. Now, some of you would have enterprises and you would have a company profile on LinkedIn. So when you create a company profile, it will appear on your menu here. So I've got a few of those. And if you haven't done one already, to create one, you go to the work menu and you choose create a company page. Now, creating a company page means that when you say that you work for this company, the logo will appear on the left-hand side in your experience section. So every enterprise really should have a company page. And so obviously then Auroa Grammar School has one. So if you say you work here, you type in the name of the school and then you choose it from the box, and then the TICS logo is going to appear on the actual LinkedIn profile. So in the notes, it explains there how to maximise your company profile on LinkedIn, and also 20 ways your employees can support your business on LinkedIn and why they should. So interestingly, I was working with sunglasses and safety glasses manufacturer recently, and it was an Asia Pacific conference, so they had people from all over Asia coming along, and we were explaining, you know, how those employees can support the business. Because, you know, if we've got a job, we owe it to our employer to promote the employer, you know, that gives us our income. So I regularly promote my employers through LinkedIn, and there's other ways that can be done as well. Completing your LinkedIn profile. So I've showed you how to do experience. What I'd also like to showcase is education. Now, obviously I didn't study here, so I can't mention TICS. But if I wanted to, let's pretend I am. So I would just go here, and I would start typing in, and I would choose it, and then I would say, what do you call year 12 now? Is it just year 12 or HSC or HSC? And then I could talk about my activities and societies. I can say when I started, describe it, and so on. Now, I actually encourage people to describe every university or school, because a lot of people obviously don't know about the University of South Australia, so obviously I had to describe that living in Victoria. And then the subjects, and then the link. So when you see mine for the University of South Australia, you'll see there's my description, here's all my subjects in alphabetical order, completed by correspondence, and there's the website link, and I've even found a video to throw in there. Now, that does a couple of things. First of all, it optimises my profile for all those keywords, but second of all, do you believe I've got that degree? Like, I mean, why would I bother making that up? So it gives you a little bit more credibility as well. The other thing you can do is, one of those subjects is business ethics, and I presume some of you would like to be on boards. And I've got a Sydney lawyer client, and she said the law is all about governance, risk and compliance. So there are 3 words that people are going to look for if you're going to be a director. So that business ethics subject included the topics of governance, risk and compliance. Because it's a stupid database, it's not artificially intelligent enough to realise it wasn't a subject, it was only a topic. And I'm not lying if I said topics included governance, risk and compliance, and then I'm optimising my LinkedIn profile for those keywords. So these are the sorts of things that you can help people with to really optimise their content. Please do not lie. I call it massaging the truth. And so, for instance, somebody who's been incarcerated, for the last 3 years, they've worked for a holding company and they were chefing and studying. It's true, they were, but they have another opportunity to work. So please, as I said, don't lie, but definitely give yourself an advantage. My daughter started studying at Monash and didn't like it, so I've still put her study at Monash on her profile with the 3 subjects she completed. So it says subjects completed. It doesn't say she dropped out. It doesn't say she failed her degree. And now she's on the Monash alumni as well as the La Trobe University alumni. So these are the sorts of things. If you start thinking about it as a database, you can be a lot smarter. Another client, she wanted to become a director, but she realised that the Australian Institute of Company Directors course is about $8,000 or $9,000. But if she did the weekend workshop on risk, she could then put that in her education section, and voila, she is now a graduate or on the alumni of the Australian Institute of Company Directors. Are you starting to work this out?
What happens if all your degrees and what to the business that you're saying?
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't, you just chuck them in anyway?
Absolutely, because my daughter is 23, and I always knew this would happen. Let's hope she doesn't listen to this recording. But she decided she wanted to do animal veterinary bioscience, and so she's become a veterinary nurse because she decided not to go on and be a vet until she had some practice in the real world. And she's found out that the award rate, even for the most advanced veterinary nurse, is $26 an hour. $26 an hour. And of course, she's quite smart. So she's realised that's probably not the long-term career option for her. So she has applied for an area manager's job at Aldi at 23. They require her to have a degree, but they don't care what it's in. And the salary is $100,000. So yes, please put your study in. Okay, volunteer experience. I've had amazing opportunities to do all sorts of things, including sailing on Sydney Harbour for 2 weeks with the Scouts Jamboree and taking kids out. I'm the only person who didn't capsize, and they wouldn't even give me a free beer for that. I was very disappointed. But I've been involved with the Australian Human Resources Institute. I've been a volunteer animal carer, helped a church across the road. You know, I've done all these other things. So please, put in all your voluntary experience. This is really, really good for younger people to put this sort of stuff in their LinkedIn profile. When I was doing graduate recruiting for Westpac, we didn't just look at their grades, we looked at all the other things that they did. There's heaps of other stuff in there, but what I'd like to now show you is an example of a post. So if you're going to start posting regularly on LinkedIn, the first stage is just like, comment and share other people's stuff. So you get the news feed, and you see this sort of stuff here, and you watch the video, make sure it's all okay, like, comment and share. That's stage 1 of getting involved in LinkedIn. Stage 2 is to curate content. So you go around looking for amazing content from somewhere else, and then you decide, I'm going to share that myself. And the third stage is you produce your own content. So this post that was put on LinkedIn very recently by Maria. I did a presentation out at Melbourne Airport. Gee, I hope it's still here. I looked it up for you before we started. Where did it end up? Maybe it's closed it off. Here it is. Okay, so this was Maria's very, very first post on LinkedIn. And within 6 days, it had over 6,500 views, 113 likes and 33 comments. All for free. Her first post. So, if we look at this post, can you tell me why you think this post performed well in the newsfeed? The photograph is awesome, isn't it? And it's got all those faces, and it's nice and symmetrical, and it tells a story all on its own. Yep, why else?
Colour?
The colour, yeah. Let's look at the text. What components can you see in the text? Hashtags. So that's sorting it by subject. So anything as a hashtag is a subject, and it lets people who are interested in that subject know about it. What else? They tagged me, and I've got 14,000 connections, so it went out to my network and it notified me that it happened. So I interacted fairly quickly with it. And what you'll also notice is all of these comments have been responded to. So Maria has replied to all of these comments as well. Why else did it go well?
Is it an appropriate thing though to actually tag people like yourself in posts?
If I'm involved, yes, yeah. But if you want to check with someone, if you're concerned they might not want to be tagged, you could ask first. What were you thinking of specifically?
Oh, I noticed an article, I think late last week about some people inappropriately tagging.
Oh yes, inappropriate
people.
never, yeah.
And a lot of people don't realise that by tagging someone you go straight across their network as well.
Yeah. No, well, I don't recommend that
A
sort
lot
of
of
thing.
people are using it for leverage.
Yeah, no. Well, I don't recommend anything that I think is offensive either to a person or is against the LinkedIn user agreement. I will not recommend it. Absolutely not. What else? Scott should be able to tell me a clue here from the copy.
I've looked at the copy
closely.
Yeah, there's something in the copy that makes this alluring.
There was something about women at APAC.
Women, yeah, maybe. It starts with the word today. There's that immediate currency, like I start reading it, it's about today, this happened. So it's really encouraging people to, well, I better read it because it happened today. So that word has started it off as well. So yeah, that was a pretty good effort. I told her about this article. She went back to her desk, she wrote that post, 6,000 views, you know, and I know that because I asked her, because she said, I can't believe it, it's just going crazy. It's my first post on LinkedIn. I did one and I had 10,000 views and I lost my whole afternoon. So you've got to be deciding whether you really want to do this or not. But if you want something to go viral, this is, you know, some of the techniques you can use to make it go viral. You get that early engagement, and there's a list of other ways that you can do that through that article. The other thing you can do is you can write articles. And I've written one, and I realise this is not #1 search query on Google, but we can guarantee that I haven't used this computer apart from earlier today, but the same result came up. And this article was about tough love for the unemployed. Oh, did it happen? Right, so I've written 3 articles on this topic, and 2 of them are #1 and #2 of Google search results. So if you really think carefully about your content and you follow the instructions on how to search engine optimize your article, you too can have #1, page 1 of Google search results for your content on your LinkedIn profile. So this is another way that you can potentially use LinkedIn on an ongoing basis. Before I go into the final questions, I'll just mention a couple of other things. On the top of page 10, it talks about generating leads, sales and results on LinkedIn. And the very first step to all of that is updating your LinkedIn profile, which is why I've spent so much time talking about that tonight. You're not going to get leads and sales if you don't have a good quality LinkedIn profile from the get-go. And if you start doing a lot of searches looking for your target audience on LinkedIn, you may reach the commercial use limit, and they might say, we're not going to let you search any more people on LinkedIn. So if you want to keep looking, you can do an advanced Google search. I'll just quickly show you that. So you click here. So what I could do is I could actually do TIGs, and I could say on the site or domain, this could be a way for you to find some alumni that you can't find within LinkedIn. And there you go. So it's obviously on the Illawarra Grammar School LinkedIn page, and then there's some others there, and so on. So you can do any number of Google searches without using up your, you like that one?
Oh, I'm just writing the result.
You're on there?
No, friend of mine.
Oh,
Right.
very good. Excellent. So yeah, it's going to work. And the last one that I'd like to briefly show you is job search strategies. And you might say, well, look, I'm in business and I don't need to find a job. Well, I'm in business too, and I don't want a job because one of my colleagues says he's unemployable. I think I've got to that stage too, because I can't cope with too many rules anymore. So anyway, here in jobs, what I can do is I can update my career interests, and I can say that I'm open to opportunities, and here I describe exactly what I'm interested in. So if somebody's using LinkedIn Recruiter to find some resources, they'll see this information, and I can also say I'm interested in working in Melbourne and Adelaide from where I'm from, and I'm interested in contract, part-time, remote and temporary work. So if you're looking for international opportunities in particular locations, you too can update your career interests and then appear in those search results as well. So really worth considering that, even if you're not looking for actual work. All right, so I'm willing to answer questions or publicly help someone with their LinkedIn profile, whichever you prefer.
What's your view on articles versus posts?
Okay, so the reason I like articles is they're permanent content. So it's going to be there today, tomorrow, next week, and I can eventually, have those in Google search results. But if I don't put anything in the news feed, people may never see my content anyway. So I like to have a combination of stuff in the news feed and a combination of stuff in articles. So the articles will be something that I believe to be evergreen, current today, current tomorrow, current next week, whereas the post will be more of that, here I was at TIGS, here I was there, blah, 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 which is just a bit more sort of newsy kind of thing. Yeah. Does that concur with your view?
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Makes a lot of sense. I know posts are getting a lot more attention now.
They are.
They come and they disappear.
But they disappear.
Yeah.
And now this is another really important point. If you are going to be sharing content regularly, and I do, when you post it, oops, sorry, I went too far. When you post it, there will be these 3 dots over here on the right, and you will be able to copy a link to that post. Now you need to put that link in a spreadsheet, because this week I posted something and somebody said, "Could you please untag me? I don't want to be in that post." So I was immediately able to go to my spreadsheet, get that link and take that person out of that particular post. A school promoted a school reunion and put up a photo of the class of whatever year it was, and one of the alumni contacted the school privately and said that the person in the photograph was now convicted of a crime. Could they please remove that picture immediately? So if you can't find it in your news feed, it can be very difficult to delete that photograph. So this is why I say mitigation strategy. If you're going to be sharing content frequently, copy your links to your posts and keep it in a spreadsheet so you can go back. Also, if you publish some content on your company page, it only remains on the company page for 12 months and then it disappears. So you might have an annual event and want to, re-promote something similar to what you did last year, but the post won't be there anymore because a year has gone by. So if you copy the link to the post, you can still click on the link and get back to that previous version. Yeah. Now you had a question, you know?
One was you started to talk about video content.
Yep.
I can understand, I also feel uncomfortable with video content as well as I'm doing it, and it does take a lot of time and preparation. But in some of the reading I've done, it said that in the years coming or going forward now, content will be 80% video. And is it, you've got to suck it up, princess, and get used to it, because that's the way things are. People do not want to read anymore. They don't want to scroll. They want to have a quick fix, quick dopamine fix, and then just get on with the next one.
They do. And Ruby Lee is doing a lot of it as a LinkedIn trainer. And she decided to do one every day for 150 days. She's getting international speaking gigs, mega contracts, brand endorsements, you name it, she's getting it. Another beauty brand I heard about decided to put 250 videos in 1 year on YouTube. The next year they upped that to 600, and they've just gone gangbusters. They're just making loads and loads of money because all that video content. Now, a lot of people like doing native video or Facebook Live video where you just, here I am and the blah, 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 I'm not a big fan of that because it only is in the news feed and then it disappears. I prefer to put most of my video content on YouTube because YouTube is the second biggest search engine and it's owned by Google. So if I title all my videos, then I get lifetime value out of my videos as well as the dynamic value when I share it in the news feed. But you've also got to work out what can you manage. And Scott and I were talking about before, like he produces 25 videos in 1 day, it's done, scheduled, you're done. So, you've got to work with what's going to be manageable. But I do believe people are expecting video content now, and all us wrinkly people, we just got to get used to it. Yeah.
So in that instance, do you put post in your news feed with the link to the YouTube video?
Yes, yeah. And I'm also of the opinion that a lot of people don't want to watch video. Like I don't. I don't want to sit there for 3 minutes and 46 seconds to watch it. So when I post video, I summarise it in text. So the person can look at the text and decide whether they really want to watch it. And of course that'll optimise the text as well. The posts that have more than 3 sentences also appear to do very well. So if I've got 3 sentences, an image, a video, blah, 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 then I've got some chance of making things happen. But of course the algorithms can change at any point and it's all for nothing. The other thing that you can do on LinkedIn now is you can upload a video and you can also upload what's called an SRT file, which is the text captions. And what it will do is it will put the captions on the video. Now, have you ever tried watching a video and not reading the captions? It's like impossible, right? So if you do that, you'll probably get a lot more engagement with your videos as well. To get the SRT file, guess what you can do? Upload it to YouTube first and then download the SRT file. Yeah.
How do you do the SRT file on YouTube?
So you upload the video, the audio has to be reasonably good quality so that it gets the captions. And then once the captions appear, there's a choice to choose download and it says download.srt and you can download the file. Yeah, but the audio has to be reasonably good quality, otherwise it doesn't pick up the captions. Yeah. I'm really conscious of time and people like to finish at 7. I'm happy to stay and answer as many questions as you want until they turn the lights off. So, but there's 2 things I want to quickly show you. If you've got the LinkedIn app on your phone and you turn on Bluetooth,